Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a magnificent monster. Originally launched in 2008 and built through 2014. This is the Rolex Perpetual Day-Date II in platinum. This is reference 218206, and it is the largest and most massive Rolex Day-Date ever made. So it's 41 millimeters in diameter by 12 millimeters thick, lug-to-lug. It's 49.5 millimeters, and from end link to end link, it is an incredible 53.5 millimeters across the wrist. Those are Panerai numbers. Between the lugs, it has a 21 millimeter spacing. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it wears well, but I wouldn't recommend it on a wrist much smaller than mine. I think 15 centimeters is going to be the lower limit, and in fact, due to the solid end links, I would even recommend you wear this watch on a wrist no smaller than mine. I think 16 centimeters for aesthetic purposes is going to be the lower limit. That said, it is low and it is sloped, so it should slide underneath the cuff. The bracelet's a nice piece, as with every President bracelet since the model debuted in 1956. The watch was born with the bracelet, hand in hand. It has a conforming end link. It has a 3-link design, polished centers, satin shoulders. You can see there is some taper from the end link down. We have outer faces, which are polished, and we have removable links on both sides of the bracelet that are fixed by screws. And an interesting fact about this first generation of the large Day-Date, only the Platinum Day-Date II features ceramic-coated pins inside its bracelet. That was only available on the Platinum model because they wanted to keep production low and test this new technology. The idea being that the Platinum itself can't aggress against the pins that hold the links together, so if the pins don't get thinned by wear, the bracelet won't stretch. So this was Rolex's solution to killing the long-standing problem of Rolex bracelet stretch, and it worked so well that they brought it out on every version of the Day-Date 40, but among the Day-Date 2s, only the Platinum model has those ceramic pins. Also nice to know, it's a very solid bracelet and extremely comfortable, but one of the main differences between the bracelet of the Day-Date 2 and the Day-Date 40 is that on the Day-Date 2, the end links are fully solid, so they step out from the lugs, whereas on the Day-Date 40, you pull straight down. So here, you can see how I've got this flare on either side that extends the watch to almost 54 millimeters across the wrist. That's because of the solid end links. So if you want a larger looking watch with a larger fit, you go with the Day-Date 2. If you want a more compact fit, you go with the nominally 1 millimeter smaller, but in fact quite more compact Day-Date 40. Now, of course, the President bracelet is named the President. The watch is often nicknamed the Rolex President, as since 1956, we've had a coterie of famous and infamous figures of power and prestige wearing these watches. So though the watch is the Day-Date, it's often nicknamed the President or the Presidential. Take note, only the bracelet is formally called President. The clasp internally is thick gauge platinum, media blasted and polished, and you can see that there's a little lift lock system built into the crown clasp with this beak and a hook snapping together. And then, of course, with the crown clasp, the crown is the only sign of the partition point between the two halves. You pull and unlock. This is no longer the friction fit system it was in past generations. It is quite secure, which is reassuring on a watch of this value. Now, Rolex has its own foundry. It makes its own alloys, and it makes its own alloy parts, which means bezel, case, case back, bracelet, and clasp have all been made by Rolex for Rolex. We have a screw-down twin-lock crown in platinum. You know it's a twin-lock in platinum because it has just the one dot externally. That's your key. And the case back, of course, is solid platinum and screwed-in oyster case back. We have a conical platinum bezel, sapphire with a magnifier, that's the Cyclops eye, which I find is less offensive on big Datejust and big Day-Date models. On smaller ones, it tends to crowd out the dial. It's much less obtrusive on a dial of this size. Now we have Rolex's ice blue dial base. This is a special color Rolex dedicates exclusively to its platinum watches. So when you see this shade or something approaching it, you know you're looking at a platinum Rolex. Hands, Rolex crown, and Roman numerals are all white gold, which means they will not tarnish or oxidize or respond to moisture over time. There's a lovely sunburst metallic grain radiating out from the center of the dial. The hands are white gold and faceted down their center for better contrast, and you can see we have a small railroad-style track outboard for reading the seconds and the minutes. Now there's more. We have a hacking or stop seconds function, so you can stop the seconds hand and set it to a reference time. We also have a quick set system for the date and a quick set system for the day. It is a double quick set. Again, 100 meters water resistance. You can absolutely use this as a sporty watch. Underneath the case back, we have a movement only ever used on this reference, and that was the 3156, which fundamentally is a 3155, but with Rolex's proprietary Paraflex shock protection and larger day and date discs. So it's a bidirectional automatic winder with a 48-hour power reserve, double quick set, hacking seconds, 4 Hz beat rate, 31 pivot joules. It is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It has a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for both shock tolerance and, in the case of the free sprung balance, very precise incremental adjustment of timing. And it has a niobium zirconium anti-magnetic hairspring called Parachrom that is also in a Breguet overcoil profile to help keep the watch on track regardless of which position it's in. This is great for passing the chronometer test, which this watch passes, but also for keeping excellent time on your wrist or on your dresser at night. So reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.